Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Quarter Disorder Podcast. This episode is being recorded on Wednesday night, April 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Tim Bowman, and joining me is my co-host, Lewis, and welcome to the show. And in this episode, we're just going to be getting into all our reactions to the big Nintendo Switch 2 reveal/announcement stuff that went down earlier today from Nintendo. Nintendo had about an hour-long Nintendo Direct, and then a bunch of stuff and news came out afterwards from the company about different stuff about the console and games and things of that nature. But before we get into the show, just want to remind everybody how they can listen and subscribe. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. You can also go to quarterdisorderpodcast.com, and that's the homepage for the website. And on there, you'll find a podcast hub for this episode and all previous episodes that include show notes and different links we talk about. And also on those pages, you can leave comments to the show. If you have any comments you want to send us directly, you can email us at email address feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast.com. And on the website is all of our social media, so you can go ahead and follow us on the platforms of your choosing. And that's about it. So let's get into the show. And Lewis, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Just making sure I have money for June. That's all. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think that amount is probably going to change tomorrow morning because of all these tariffs that just got announced in the United States. But that Switch 2 that we're talking about might cost about $1,200 or something. But I guess we'll find out going forward. So let's just get into the reactions of the show and break down some of it, what happened. So the Nintendo Direct, they previously had one. It was like a trailer earlier in January that basically did a reveal for the console's look, but didn't really say anything about the games. And it was like there was brief clips of like the new Mario Kart, but other than that, there was really no information about it. And it was just a setup for this full-on Nintendo Direct today, which began at about 8 o'clock Central Time in the U.S., went for about an hour, and Nintendo basically ran through the entire Switch 2 hardware specs, release, games, third-party support, and new features they add to the console. So the big news is the Switch 2 is releasing this June, on June 5th, and it's going to cost $449 in the United States. And there will be an additional bundle with Mario Kart World, which is officially the next Mario Kart game that they announced on the show as well. And you can get that bundled with the digital copy with the console for $499, so about $500. And that was the kind of the two major things. They announced the release date during the Direct, but they did not announce the pricing, and kind of just left people hanging. I don't know if you noticed
I had
that,
no idea
right?
what was going on. I was like, hey, this is all cool. It's coming soon, but how much?
Yeah, the key thing is like, where was the price? But then they put out a press release and stuff in the news that like, okay, here's the price and then here's the bundle. It was kind of weird they did not include that in the actual
Direct.
video, though. I don't know what the deal with that was. It's kind of weird, but
Yeah. That's the issues. Let's just say, with the Direct.
Yeah, so the pricing is so that when the original Switch launched in March 2017, it cost $299, and now this Switch 2 costs $450. So it's a pretty big jump from the previous console, but kind of comparable to what you see across PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. What's going on now, because it's such a big difference from 8 years ago, which is crazy to think. So Lewis, what was your reaction to kind of the release date and then like finding out the price of it later?
Okay,
What were
for
your
the release date, I was very shocked. It's coming very soon. I thought they were going to shoot for holiday, but I guess they thought, who knows? Rockstar ain't announced GTA 6 yet, so they're probably like, you know what, the sooner the better, which I think helps everybody. The price, whenever I came across the price, I've only mainly bought like PlayStation consoles. So I mean, it is cheaper than the PlayStation 5, right? But when you bring up that price of the original Nintendo Switch, yeah, it's a pretty big jump. Um, my gaming library doesn't really, it's not as thick as a PlayStation, or even at the time when I owned the Xbox. I didn't touch those, the amount of games that I had. So I don't know. To me, it is pretty pricey. And if you want to get the bundle just to get a cheaper copy of Mario Kart World, because you know the price of that game, which we'll dive in later, it's kind of like, okay, so I guess if I want to play Mario Kart and not spend a bunch of money, I'll have to get the bundle.
Yeah, so just like a quick thing. So they also didn't announce this during the direct. It kind of came out later on the official Mario Kart World website that the game's going to retail for $79.99, so $80,
Which is
which
ridiculous to me.
is, yeah, it's a premium price. They went ahead and just jumped. I think Zelda came out for 70 on the Switch, didn't it?
Yeah, but
So they have a little bit of a precedent, but yeah, I think that was people were not expecting.
so let me get your opinion on this. Are you okay with a Mario Kart World being priced at $80 compared to a $70 whenever it was released for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Do you think the
No,
price is a main selling point?
I think the price of the console is, I wouldn't say reasonable, because especially with all the crazy economic stuff going on in the United States that's affecting the rest of the world, it's not a good time to be releasing a new console. But like generally speaking, it is pricey for a console. But I'm like, okay, well, it's in the kind of in the middle. I wasn't too upset about that, but I think like the price of like the games, I'm like $80, and then you factor in tax, you're over $90 right there.
Yeah, you're over 90, yeah.
Um, and that's just the United States, so it's probably even more expensive in other countries when you do their currencies and stuff. So this is like
Yeah.
primarily looking at it through the lens of an American audience, but like if you're in another country, it's probably even worse than that. Um, so I'm not a fan of that. Um, I don't
So
think
do you see
Nintendo is.
Xbox and Sony pursuing this now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
they were already doing it with their own stuff. $70 first party
Yeah.
game. So
But they were
I
the
just think it's,
Nintendo saying, no, we're going 80.
yeah, Nintendo knows they can get away with it. I think the bundle, it's like, yeah, like you said, it's just the way it makes more sense to get the bundle, because the game's $50 in the bundle, but if you buy it separately, it's another $30.
Yeah.
So why would you do that if you just get the bundle? And some of the other games they've put out, they did announce another game, a new Donkey Kong game that's kind of like an open world action platformer. Kind of reminded me of Super Mario Odyssey, like that style.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah,
So
that
instead
looked
of like,
incredible.
it did look really awesome. So instead of like Bonanza, it's banana bonanza, like play on words. So that game's gonna cost $69.99. That's official from Nintendo. So like you have another game there. You have all these price discrepancies with the games. There's really no universal price. So they're pretty much going to set higher price points for games they know they can get away with, like Mario Kart, obviously. I mean, that's the reason why you're buying the Switch 2 at this point. If you get it at launch, that's the big launch game.
Yeah.
So pricing, I know a lot of people seeing reactions online and we're not happy about either pricing of the console or the games. Um,
The games, to me, the pricing of the games is the one that really irks me, just because, like you were saying, I don't know. I'm not a super racing fan. Okay, I drive a real car, everybody, so there's no secret. So it's like I wouldn't pay $80 for a racing game. Doesn't matter if it's Mario Kart. It doesn't matter what game it is. I just wouldn't. But a game like Donkey Kong Bonanza is like I might be like, yeah, I can see that being $80, but it's not. It's being towards 70. So it's like it's just weird for me. I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, well, the developers need the money because of inflation. But yeah, they're like the regular Joe that's working at these companies is not getting like a bonus and a raise.
Yeah.
Um, Same thing with the American companies, and Nintendo's not hurting for money either. So it's really not going to like the increase in costs is not going to like the people that need it. Most likely,
Yeah,
it's just going to the bottom line of the company.
agreed.
Um, and the previous Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that's one of the best selling games of all time.
Of all time.
So they know they know people are going to get it. They know people are. That's the game you're going to get a Switch for, especially for more like casual audience.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong,
So
it's a great title to launch with. You need something like this to launch with your console.
yeah, absolutely. And then like a month later, you get the Donkey Kong
Donkey Kong, yeah.
Bonanza, which is July 17th.
Which is
So you have
insane
two,
to me as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, apart from the pricing, like these are two titles that I'm excited for.
oh for sure. Like these are the games that, like you're going to buy the console for.
Yes.
And they had a pretty solid lineup for the rest of the year too, as far as third party stuff. So I mean, even if you had those two games for like several months, that's kind of enough to get the console on. Plus, you can play like your old Switch games and stuff. So there's a lot of value there. It's just like we're getting into like this pricing territory, and like I said, some people were even at the console price for like, well, that's way too much for me. I'm out.
Yeah.
Especially
There's
for a
always
Nintendo
Black Friday,
console.
folks. Don't give up. But when it comes to Nintendo, they really don't dock their prices.
No, I mean they I wouldn't say they got better, but like I do see more deals for Nintendo first party games where they at least go to like $40.
Yeah.
At like Best Buy and GameStop and stuff,
Now
like a
we're gonna
couple
see
times a year.
$60.
Yeah, now you're resetting it, like you said. You're now the new normal is like, oh, 60 is a deal.
Yeah.
I was surprised too at the actual release date. I was thinking like that typical holiday or fall. June seems really quick. I would have to like check their fiscal year ending. I mean, I'm sure it's probably like June 30th or something. But maybe they just want to rush this out. I mean, I think it's smart to rush it out because you don't know where the world economy is going to be in
Yeah.
by the end of the year, or like all these tariffs, or how that's gonna impact production and stuff. So maybe that has something to do with it. But there were rumors that people were saying it's going to be June, so that did come true. But I thought that was like, oh, there's no way, that's too soon.
Dang. I mean, maybe they saw that rumor too. Like, you know what? We need to release this now.
Yeah, before we have to charge like people like an extra like 25% for the console and
Seriously, yeah, seriously.
45% and 50 or whatever, these crazy tariff numbers. Um, so yeah, that was the kind of like the post show feeling that people were getting. But I think during the show, it opened up with immediately opened up with Mario Kart World and a few minutes of gameplay of that. So essentially, that game, some of the new things they're doing, it's up to 24 players, 24 characters in a race. So I guess that's the most ever in a Mario Kart game. And it's going to have two new game modes added to it, which are basically like an elimination mode, where you just keep racing until you get knocked off the leaderboard, which is
Hmm.
pretty cool.
I think
And it's
that's a
called
pretty
not.
cool mode.
Yeah, it definitely sounds fun. It's called Knockout Tour. And then the second thing they were really promoting is the other new feature called Free Roam, where basically you can just like drive off the racetrack like Forza Horizon style
Hmm.
and explore like the level and everything. And I don't think it'll be as detailed as Forza Horizon, because Forza Horizon, that series and those type of games, like you actually do like missions and races and stuff.
Yeah.
So this seems more like an exploration thing, but I think the core game looks really good, and there's like tracks all over the world. Um, which is the world
They
part
got
of
some
it
new
comes
characters
in.
too, by the way.
Yeah, who are you kind of looking at?
Goomba, Pokey, Bitty Bud, Monty Mole, and Penguin. And they got their unique cards and abilities. So that's anything that expands the roster when it comes to games like this. Because, sometimes whenever, like the earlier Mario Karts, like the only thing you kind of look forward to was like the tracks, right? But now you got some characters with some unique cards and abilities. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, they got to fill that roster up because there's 24 up to 24 players, and
Yeah.
I don't
And
know the offhand like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I played that game a lot. Like I remember like on the Wii U.
yeah.
and then like the port early on. I don't
Yeah,
remember like how many characters it had, but it's definitely been like a super long time since there's been a new Mario Kart.
yeah.
So graphically, it looked really good. Like that's another thing with like the Switch 2 hardware.
Hmm.
It is an it look. I mean, you can obviously tell it's an improvement over the Switch. I don't know if it's comparable. What it'd be comparable to? Obviously, like a PS5 is probably like more powerful and looks better.
Would you
Um,
would you compare it to Pro, PS4 Pro?
I don't know because the PS4 Pro could do 4K and the Switch 2 can do 4K as well, which is new for Nintendo.
Just docked, right? Remember, it's docked.
Just docked, yeah, to the TV. But I mean, me personally, like I play the Switch more docked, but I know a lot of people like it for the handheld more.
Oh, I like it docked too, by the way.
So I don't know what it's comparable to. It's obviously not the same as a PS5, right? I mean, because
No.
the third party game, otherwise they'd be getting third party games day one
Hmm.
of crazy graphically powerful games. So that's another thing that factors into the pricing. It's like, well, okay, you charge an $80 for a Mario Kart. It looks good, but is it like significantly better than the last game we played? And is the hardware significantly more
Yeah.
powerful where it's causing the development costs of these games to skyrocket? And like Nintendo's been pretty good about that. I don't really feel that that's the way. Like I don't think
Hmm.
Mario Kart World's gonna cost like $400 million to make.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I don't. I agree with you. I don't think it didn't show anything groundbreaking to me, right? But it's a fun. It looks like a fun game, and that's been their way the last couple of years since the Wii, I'd say, right? Not even the last couple of that game. I mean, that console came out a long time ago now, 2 decades ago. But yeah. So whenever I was watching it, I mean, one thing they did set up pretty good, in my opinion, was well, well, let's just talk about it. The seat button, right? They introduced to put on the controller, and that activates the game chat, right? So whenever you're playing this game with your friends, up to 4 players at least, right? That's what they showed. They have this camera that you can hook onto your Switch too. That's sold separately for I think it's 49.99, $50 basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so I like the idea how they're masking their limitations when it comes to online. They had this you use this camera and it shows your face. I'll kind of give like a customized background. So it's just like your face cropped and you're talking to your friends, racing and having fun with each other. Like when Nintendo, I think, does that the best. They kind of mask their issues with like cool things like this. I thought it was a pretty cool feature that I do want to try whenever I play this game. I don't know about you.
Yeah, they I saw people like say like online like, oh, like in typical like Nintendo fashion, they made like voice chat and group chat like it's some new feature that hasn't been done before when we've all
Yeah.
been doing it for like 20 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of funny, but they do add in these like social features, like you said, to kind of, I wouldn't say maybe cover, but you don't see like it kind of adds a layer, like a special like Nintendo flavor, their own kind of weird in a weird way.
Yeah.
Um, because they even called, like you referenced, they call this game chat, like they specifically call it game chat with like it was one word.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this whole branding around it, and they have like a camera you connect to the Switch too, and it also works in like handheld mode because like I guess there's a camera on there that'll like show your face or whatever. Um, so there's definitely gonna be like a social aspect to the Switch 2 more
Will,
so than even the Switch
will you
1,
be
which already
will
had a
you be
huge.
taking the camera in the restroom while you're still playing?
I don't know why I would. Who's gonna do that? Are people doing that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a big Twitch streaming thing.
Yeah.
Um, it seems pretty cool, especially like this camera thing. It's gonna be included in. They've only really announced one game that's gonna be using this like pretty in depth so far, but which is Super Mario Party Jamboree, but they're calling it Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV, and the
Mm-hmm.
Jamboree TV portion is like mini games that you can play like on a game show where since it has the camera connected, if you have it, like your full body will be in the game, so you'll be doing like motion actions with like your whole body in the camera in the game, like you're actually in the game, which is pretty cool. So definitely like the social aspects of that, like that was another big feature they did. They spent a lot of time on the game chat aspect and the camera and what that looks like, and you can play up to 4 people in this group chat, and somebody could be playing one game and you're on another game, you're all just chatting, either voice or video or both. So I guess they mostly showed it through the TV viewpoint. So if it's docked, and you have like
Mm-hmm.
a main screen on top, and then below you are the 3 or 4 other mini screens of what your friends are playing. So that's going to be like one of the big social aspect features of the console. And yeah, they did, like you mentioned, they added that C button, which is on the right Joy-Con 2 controller, and it's
Yeah.
also going to be on the Switch 2 Pro controller and the new wireless GameCube controller, which we'll talk about soon. So
Which
that's
I'm
like
sure
a new.
everybody's happy with that owns a copy of Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah, because I still have my Wavebird. Anybody remember the Wavebird from back in the day, like Nintendo's wireless thing? I don't even know if that still works because that thing is like over 20 years old now. The battery's probably dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the C button is basically like their new. I wouldn't even say innovations, but like what they're doing with the Switch 2. It's a little bit different. It's a big focus. So definitely that connectivity, they're really focusing the Switch 2 on. Like you said, the Switch 2, I mean, for Mario Kart and the system itself, like it's not really anything groundbreaking. It just looks like a better version of the Switch, which makes sense, right? Like why mess too much with a good formula?
Yeah.
Um, just continue with it. So I mean, from that aspect, I didn't really have an issue with it. I know some people were like, "Well, it's just a better Switch." So it's like, yeah, well, did it need to be something different?
Does
I mean, I
Does
don't.
anybody know, like, we're on our fifth PlayStation? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think Nintendo. Somebody mentioned somebody. I'd seen somebody comment this. It was like Nintendo made like one weird system with the Wii, and then like every time people expect them to innovate. I mean, they innovate in different ways, but I don't think every console needs to be like this massive jump.
hmm
I think they learned that with the Wii to the Wii U, where they like lost all their audience.
yeah,
Like what would have happened if the Wii 2 was just a better Wii, right? Would they have gone
yeah,
through that down period? But then that down period brought us the Switch, which
the Switch.
brought them back on top. So it's like it's a either or situation, right? It's like, well, they could do a super innovative system, but it's very risky, especially nowadays. Why don't you just do something what people like and just make it better? So I thought that was fine with me, but again, that plays into the price point. It's like, well, it's a better Switch 2. Is it really worth $450? I guess you're gonna have to decide that as the listener and the person buying it. There doesn't really seem to be a unanimous opinion on that yet. Like it's kind of divided
hmm
um so far. But what did you think of the game chat stuff? Because I was like I said, they spent such a significant amount of time on it during the show.
I mean,
Um,
it's okay. I mean, um, it's nothing like super innovative, really. But I mean, it's just I thought for this one title, again, not every title has this feature with the camera and all that. You have, you know, you can see your friend, as you're playing or racing them and all that. I did think one thing that was pretty cool is like you can see the other players' um screen, so you see their game, but it looked very choppy on the presentation. I don't know if you saw that.
yeah, it looked a little bit rough.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Like like that's not how you sell something like that. But
Like
again,
like
Nintendo's
480.
still behind on the multiplayer features. I mean, right? But
it
I
felt
thought it
like
was
a
cool. But then once they started showing footage, like, oh, it's right there, and you know that guy's watching his friend play. It's just choppy. It's just like
yeah,
it
I
just
was gonna
reminded me of
say
the
it's
old
like
days. As I was trying to watch a trailer, you know, from like a PS3 trailer back in the day, you know, in 2006.
right, yeah, I was gonna say like it was like 480p Twitch streaming, like when you're trying to get it to buffer
Yeah,
a little
and it's
bit, like
going
man, this stream really
bunch
sucks.
of
Like what's going
pixels
on here?
everywhere.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows like what it's gonna look like when you're playing it. I would assume it's not gonna be that crappy, right? Because like you
I
can
hope
just
not, because this is you know they're presenting this to us. Let me find that choppy when I get it, you know, so I can use the excuse. Well, it's just, you know, it just launched, you know, but they're showing this to us like, hey, this is what you're gonna see.
yeah. I mean, they've had 8 years to get something going, so I mean, they've had plenty of time, and other consoles have already innovated the stuff, right?
Yeah,
Across the board. Why don't we get into some of the features here of the actual hardware? Because they did go into a kind of a deep dive into that, like way more than the first trailer. That first trailer they showed in January was like hardly anything. Like it didn't give you any
yeah.
information except what it looked like. So the Switch 2 itself is larger. It's about it's got a 7.9-inch LCD screen compared to the Switch's 6.2-inch
1080p, right?
screen. Yep, full 1080p resolution and high dynamic range HDR
Pretty
in
cool.
handheld mode, and up to 4K resolution in docked mode. So that's improved graphical capabilities there. And games can be supported up to 120 frames per second in handheld mode, with additional support for variable refresh rate (VRR). But in docked gameplay, if you have it connected to your TV, the frame rates are capped at 60 frames if you're also outputting into a 4K resolution. So there is some, capping there that they're doing, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
60 frames isn't bad. So some just other stuff. I mean, just kind of quality of life things. I thought, like the docking station has a built-in fan for cooling support. They improved the stand for tabletop mode, so you can kind of move it and bend it a little better. There's 2 USB-C ports on the console now, and they improved the audio with. They really highlighted like 3-dimensional audio and just better speakers and stuff. And the console itself will have 256 gigabytes of internal storage compared to the Switch's 32 gigs. So that's a huge jump.
That is a huge jump.
Right, which you're probably going to need because the memory cards for the original Switch, which are all use micro SDs to save your games and save your game files and download games. Those will not work on the Switch 2. So the new console is going to use micro SD express cards for both Switch 2 and Switch 1 games. So if you play a Switch 1 game on the Switch 2, to save that game, you're going to need a micro SD express card. So that's a little bit different. I don't know the prices of those. I was kind of looking them up. They seem way more expensive.
Yeah.
Um,
It could support up to 2 terabyte, right?
Perhaps, yeah, but I think it's still kind of expensive. I was seeing like a terabyte was pretty expensive. Um,
Don't tell me
so
like
maybe
$200.
I think like at least over 100. Yeah, I think so.
Oh my
So a little
god.
bit pricier, but maybe in a couple of years, or maybe it's like a future proof thing. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
so that's a
Uh,
change, but
so how are you
um,
feeling about the 7.9-inch screen, LCD screen?
it looked good. Yeah, everything like I said, look, it looks like a better Switch. It looked good.
Yeah,
Everything they improved the stuff they needed to. Um, Nothing drastic, right? It just better.
I'm
Seems
happy with the
better.
fan.
Yeah, the fan. Yeah, I don't know, did your Switch too? I never really noticed if the Switch got really hot when playing on the TV mode. Did yours or? All right, everybody, we are back. Sorry about that. We had some technical issues. Lewis got disconnected, much like the Nintendo Switch 2 GameChat quality there. I don't
Yeah,
know what happened.
yeah. Well, as long as you can understand me, and you know, I'm glad I'm not on video. If not, my audio sync would totally be off right now.
Would have been ruined, right?
Yes.
Um, So as we're going, we're talking about some of the Switch 2 hardware stuff. So another big change, as we were kind of briefly talked about, was the new Joy-Con 2 controllers.
Hmm.
So they magnetically attach to the side of the Switch 2 now, so it's a lot easier to kind of slide them in and out. And
The
just
buttons
all
are made out of
other,
metal, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I think, but it's not like, you're not gonna like cut yourself doing it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's pretty, looks pretty clean. Um, and then just some quality of life stuff, basically, where like the analog sticks are better, bigger, and the shoulder buttons are a little bit expanded. Then the right Joy-Con 2 has that C button for the social connection stuff, and also has a updated rumble, which they're calling HD Rumble 2. I guess it gives better feedback. I wonder if it'll be as good as the Xbox Series X controller and the PS5 controller, because those have really good um, feedback, like especially like from behind the controller.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting to see. And really, the really cool feature that they could really do a lot with is the Joy Cons are when you detach them from the system, they can act like a computer mouse. So a lot of games are going to be implementing these like wireless mouse controls. They showed like a lot of mini games from like Nintendo stuff, like tech demos and things like that, to actual like PC style games like Sid Meier's Civilization 7, which is really cool. So like you can have all these, maybe a whole new avenue of games coming to Nintendo platforms, like PC games, because now you can do like the mouse stuff with them. And a first person shooter like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, at least on the Switch 2 version, is going to have that, where you can choose those mouse controls and play the
That's
game like you would on PC.
So really, they're
So
really letting like the accessibility controls really come, shine through. I've noticed with the presentation they had today.
yeah, it's a really cool. They also had some game that's like specifically designed for the Joy-Con 2s. It's called Drag X Drive. It's like a sports game. It looked really bad. I don't know if
Yeah,
you saw that.
yeah,
It didn't look good, but the features of the controller look cool, but that
yeah,
game just looks really lame.
yeah.
Um,
One of the lows on this presentation, I'd say that
yeah, and
game.
it's directly from Nintendo too, so it's like an in-house Nintendo game, but the graphics didn't look good. The
It's
gameplay
just,
looked weak.
they knew that this was gonna bomb, so they're like, you know what? Let's just charge more for Mario Kart World to cover.
Yeah. That game's gonna be forgotten about, but I think the mouse controls, that's gonna be super cool. And you could probably have a lot of games that release on Steam also come to the Switch 2 now.
Hmm.
Um, maybe like those Civilization games, or those are real time strategy games.
The
So that could open up a
Sims.
new audience.
It
So
sounds
that's
it sounds pretty cool that they came up with that. I
yep,
know they kind of some people did speculate whenever they originally showed the Switch 2 of the console back in January, like, oh, we're gonna have mouse features, and boy, were they right.
yeah, because the original trailer did kind of show it, but it wasn't like, it was so vague. It was like, well, it's probably that, but let's just get confirmation.
Yeah.
Um, they briefly kind of talked about through like later in the show, like amiibo support. So the Switch 2 will continue to support amiibo figurines, or I don't know, you call them action figures. I don't know what people call them, collectibles,
Toys.
um,
No,
toys.
no, they're just I'd say they're accessories for the console. I mean,
If you actually take them out of the package
yeah, I hope they do.
and ruin the value of them, but
Let
yeah,
them
those
breathe.
are those are going to be all new figures for Tears of the Kingdom and Street Fighter 6, which
Street
is
Fighter
coming
6,
to
yeah.
the Switch. So there's going to be, I think, several all new figures, and Street Fighter 6 is also going to be using amiibo cards for support. So you can also
Yeah.
use cards instead of buying the figures.
So Tim, hypothetically, right now, we just mentioned all this stuff. How much, if you're all into this, how much would you already be spending? You think at this point?
Like me, or just some Nintendo
Oh, just some
dork,
Nintendo
or the
fan that's like, man, I'm getting all
okay.
this.
Well, I mean, those guys will spend anything, right? Nintendo
Yeah,
guys, I mean, they'll drop a couple thousand, right? They'll buy
yeah,
all this stuff,
yeah.
and me personally, like if I'm looking at this, because I plan to, we'll do a final verdict at the end of the show, but I'm leaning towards getting it at launch from a
hmm
pre-order.
hmm
So if I'm getting the Mario Kart bundle, it's 500. Um,
Did you get the camera?
yeah, the camera's 50, but you can also use other USB-C cameras, so maybe you can get a cheaper one.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to use the Nintendo one officially. But I would definitely get the console. I would probably sign up for the Nintendo Switch online service, which is $20. And if you want to add the expansion pack feature, so you can play all the retro games up to the GameCube, that total is 50 with Nintendo Online. So you
So
got
would you?
550.
So would you get the expansion pack? I'd say you
Yeah,
getting
I
it
would
just
get
for the
it. I
retro
would
stuff.
just get it because it comes with the online, and you get
Yeah,
like the Switch 2 updates.
yeah.
And then I would get the Pro controller because I like that. So I'm looking at,
$80.
yeah, that's $80 now. I forgot what the Switch one was because I bought that such a long time ago.
I think it was 60. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I think it was because I have it right. Yeah, I think it was like 60.
It's a good controller. I played most of the Switch games with that
Yeah, I
actually.
played all my Switch games like that.
So I would definitely get that day one. So you're looking at, me personally, you're looking at, geez, over $600.
Yeah,
And then a month later you got Donkey Kong, which
yeah.
was day one for me. So this stuff does add up, but like when you get into like the amiibos and the collectibles, at least they're continuing to supporting
You're
it.
missing the most important thing, Tim, the protector, which is 34.99.
What does it actually protect? Like
The
the
screen.
34.99?
Yes.
Wow. Um, that's crazy. That's really I mean, you can get those things on like Amazon for like what, $5, right?
Something
I
like
mean,
that. It's not
so yeah,
Nintendo sealed, pal.
Nintendo seal of approval, like it
Yeah.
never comes off.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it does get a little bit pricey, but like amiibo support, it's interesting because I thought that was pretty much dead, but apparently not.
hmm
Um, and then the Switch 2 will also use original Switch accessories like Joy Cons and the Pro controller. You just can't use Switch 2 accessories on the Switch, so it's not like you can't do back and forth with that. And the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible with supported Switch games. So this is where it gets a little muddy because they had a page on Nintendo's website where it kind of shows a graph of like all the games that are being patched or gonna, I wouldn't say patched, but at least kind of they're experimenting with, like seeing if they actually work on the Switch 2. Um, so most first party Nintendo Switch games seem to work, but a lot of third party games have like particular issues at like startup or playing the game, but I think those are still under investigation or review. So I don't think I don't know what kind of backwards compatibility they're doing. I know they did an interview with the three main
As
Nintendo
developers.
Switch 2 designers, and I think they went into depth of that, but I don't think it's like straight, like you just put the game in and it works. I think something else is going on here on a hardware level because like they're, I mean, for these
But
third party games, they're just gonna, there might be issues with it, so it's not like full backwards compatible like you know you would think.
how do you feel about that when it comes to gaming preservation?
Yeah, it's always an issue, especially with the Switch because it's got such a huge library.
hmm
I would imagine they would iron all that out, but
So, so, so would this be kind of like okay, you know how they okay, so they introduced this thing called game key cards, right? Would this fall under that kind of because you're kind of saying it's like a patch, but not really a patch, you know? Because they're doing that thing, game key cards, where they kind of act like physical tokens that allow players to download like the game content from the internet. Well, the card itself has to be inside the console, but the actual game resides on the console's internal storage, I guess.
yeah, so certain games are going to be like, I mean, we're already used to this with like um, even like Switch games do this, where it's like you have to insert the cartridge
Yeah.
into the system. The
And you gotta
game,
download it.
yeah, either the game is like halfway on there, or it just unlocks a key
For
for
you
you
to
to get
use.
the access. So the game is not. So essentially, you're buying a product key in a
Yeah.
box, but you actually have to keep the card in there. Um, so I know people weren't happy about that either, especially the prices they're charging for some of these games.
Yeah.
Um, but I know like even on like Xbox Series X, which is basically like a dead console at this point. Um, Indiana Jones when that came out, like I don't even think the game's on the disc. I think you have to insert it in and download the game.
Oh my god, I didn't know
So it's
that.
a physical game, but you still have to download it. So I think maybe Nintendo was just they're already doing that on the Switch with various. I know a lot of third party games do that.
Yeah, like Kingdom Hearts, they had like a collection there. You had to do that, and I think Mortal Kombat 1 as well.
Right. So maybe it's just a way to like clarify that further, like make it really apparent what's going on.
Yeah,
Um, but I think it's it seems to be mostly like the third party stuff. Like they're gonna have to like keep working that out.
yeah.
Um, but
But
most
what I'm
of
saying is
the
like, are they using that to kind of do that with like some of the Switch One games? You get me?
updates, you think
Yeah,
like they're trying like, oh, we can't get this to work, but you can buy the game again for $80.
yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. Like when I was seeing this, I'm like, okay, well, if the backwards compatibility is messed up, they're just gonna recharge you for the same game.
yeah.
But it did show like most of the first party Nintendo stuff worked as of
Mhm,
now. So
mhm,
I'm sure that'll keep improving. But we really won't know until like several months later,
mhm.
especially at launch. So yeah. So when they initially did that trailer in January, they're like, oh, Switch games are compatible. But the language they use was like supported games will be. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Why are you being so funny
Yeah,
with like the language? And then it comes out like, okay, it's not 100%. Um,
definitely not 100%.
no. So I mean, that we'll see what that looks like at launch. Um, but that should be the aim, right? That's
Mm,
backwards
yeah.
compatible.
Mhm.
Um,
Which
another thing
I
we
don't know. Since like, all right, we're like this is we've been gamers for a while now, so it's like it's kind of hard to see. They still haven't gotten this transition to where we can still use some of our old games onto new consoles because this is not the first time we've come across this issue. You know, like PlayStation 1 games can't necessarily work on my PS5, right? You get me? So it's just weird that they still have not figured out this whole thing.
yeah. So yeah, when I heard the Switch 2, you just assume it was going to be the same backwards compatibility, but something else is going on here.
Yeah.
Maybe at like a operating system level or something. I don't know what the deal is because it's not just like an easy thing. Like okay, the game just works.
Yeah.
Um, they're obviously having doing some investigations and tech support on these games before the consoles launch.
Hmm.
Um, but they're moving on to like kind of the next topic here. Let's get into the Switch 2 games, then we'll circle back to that Switch 1 update because that kind of ties into that backwards compatibility issue. Um, so the main game, like we talked about, is Mario Kart World. That's the big Switch 2 announcement, as far as like the big heavy hitter for the console's launch. They announced another game called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is a launch title, but it looks like it should just be a free demo you download because
Yeah.
essentially what
I
it
can't believe they're
is.
charging for this.
Yeah, no price on this because I tried finding the price and there's nothing on it yet. But essentially, it's a paid game that has like mini games and tech demos and quizzes and just it's like a quirky little Nintendo game about the Switch 2
Hmm.
and like educating people about the hardware and the console's features. So I was like, this should be like a free download.
They
Like, why are
definitely
you
took
charging?
this idea from Sony's little Astrobot.
Yeah, that was a free game though,
That was
wasn't
a
it?
free, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, demonstrating what the controller can do, right? For example, but yeah,
So if this is anything more than like $10, right?
this
I
should not
mean,
even be $5, Sam. This should be 2.99.
no, I mean, yeah, it should be like it should be a free.
It should
Like
be
from what
free,
they
honestly.
showed,
Yeah,
it looked like one of those quirky Nintendo things. Like I
yeah,
don't think this should be like $50 or
yeah.
no way. I
Oh
mean,
God.
um Another big game that they showed later in the show is called Kirby Air Riders. That's going to release in 2025. No hard release date yet, but it's a new Switch 2 exclusive that's being directed by
Masahiro Sakurai.
Yes, who is actually the creator of Kirby and the guy behind the Super Smash Bros. Franchise. So he's coming back to this particular Kirby spinoff, which is a follow-up to Kirby Air Ride from 2003 on the Nintendo GameCube. So that's a long wait if you're like a mega
years.
Kirby Air Raid fan.
I don't know any, do you?
No, I remember the game though. I remember it on GameCube. I specifically remember the box art.
Oh, so you never played it?
I might have. It was a game I would always see around.
Yeah. I never got to play it, no.
But that's 22 years later, so that's interesting.
Jeez.
And it's also interesting that it's a racing game when they already have Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, wouldn't you push this out to like 26?
Yeah, I would. I mean,
and there's another launch game that's a racing game too, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into those later. And as mentioned before, the show ended with Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I can't hold on one second. I'm gonna stand up for Zelda. They're releasing the Hyrule Warriors game, right?
Well, I'm gonna get to that. That's okay. I got that out here. Yeah, for sure. We'll get to Zelda.
That's a big game.
There. It is. Yeah, it is. It was a big game during the show. But these are just kind of like the Nintendo first party stuff. So they ended that show with Bonanza, and it looks like a really awesome game.
Yes.
I know some people are like the Donkey Kong design was kind of funky, but it's whatever. It's kind of cartoonish.
It's because they're going off the movie that came out like a couple years back.
The Mario movie. Right, yeah. So, but in the storyline, like, I'd actually look this up on the website because it was a little bit confusing because the trailer really doesn't talk about the story, but Donkey Kong is like digging deeper into this underground world, which is like the game world, and he's trying to retrieve these like golden bananas that were stolen by a group called Void Co. So that's really weird, and just basically in the gameplay trailer, you can like Donkey Kong can like smash things and punch stuff and attack enemies and get collectibles and stuff, and it looked really awesome, like super amazing, like Donkey Kong, the game that it deserves, right?
Yeah.
And he also will have a companion with him, which is like this little purple rock or monster. I don't know what it is because there's no details on it, so I don't know what. Just there's like screenshots and in the trailer, like this little purple thing's like following him around. So yeah, I was like super hyped for this game. I thought it was like really cool.
Yes.
But
this is actually my second game, like my number 2 game of this whole thing, to be honest with you.
Oh, number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
That means there's a number 1.
Oh, we'll bring it up here in a minute.
Okay, so the next game that Lewis was super excited to talk about and jumped the gun on was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This is like one of the big games they showed during like the third party partnership segment, where they were just like throwing a bunch of games out of third party support, and this is being made by Koei Tecmo in collaboration with Nintendo. Yes. And I believe this is the third game in the franchise, which started in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And the last game was 2020's Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So
that was a great game.
Yeah, so are you super into these games? I haven't played any of them.
Yeah, they're fun. They're very fun. What's interesting about that this is actually a prequel to the Tears of the Kingdom. So, Tim, you better beat those 2 games first, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, whenever they update them for Nintendo Switch 2, because this game, I can tell, is going to be great. The first one was amazing. It's just fun. I remember playing co-op with this other person years ago, and it was fun. I kind of hope this game has co-op online.
Is this like a Dynasty Warriors game?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's like a bunch of enemies on the screen.
Yeah,
like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it always looked cool. I just never got around to it. Yeah, like you said, I need to beat both of those Switch games in about 2 months.
Yeah, I
Um,
hope you will. I hope you do.
but it's pretty interesting. Yeah, they're using like a spin-off as like a prequel to Tears of the Kingdom, like a
Yeah,
storyline prequel.
yeah. So this is actually canon. So this is actually the first time where they kind of like, acknowledge that. Hey, yeah, this is actually a prequel to a main line.
Right. So that's interesting. Um, and then that game is coming out this winter. No exact release date, but at least winter 2025. And
This is my number three game, by the way. This game.
number three. Trying to guess what number one would be. Let me see. If I can just get a look at a list here of games. Let's see. Number one for Lewis would be uh
You want me to say what it is?
Fortnite.
Because
Fortnite.
absolutely not. I can't.
Fortnite.
I am
Number
offended.
one.
It's Duskbloods from Software. From Software.
Oh yeah. So okay, cool. Yeah, that was the next game we were gonna get into actually. Um, exclusive to Switch 2. So you want to get into this and tell people about it?
Oh my God. So this is directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, and the trailer was so incredible. It's a multiplayer. And this game showed me that I think Nintendo's finally gonna be serious about exclusives from like third party. What do you think? Because when I
Yeah,
saw this, I was like,
it's
I
a
want to
pretty
play
big
this
exclusive.
immediately. This looked graphically impressive. It looked fun to play. And I wanted it now. It sucks that we have to wait till next year. But this kind of made me want to get the Switch too. So this is my top game.
Yeah, it's they spent a lot of time on it too. It was a pretty lengthy video, part of the
Yes.
show. For those that don't know, From Software, they made, Elden Ring and
Bloodborne.
yeah, all those games that
Very, very difficult, by the way. Which again, like whenever I play these games, I do have a hard time playing and getting through them. But this looked fun. And then too, it's like it's a multiplayer game. And I'm not really into multiplayer games like that. But this showed me like, man, this could be fun. This I'm like genuinely excited for this.
yeah, it's like up to 8 players. Not really sure the style of the multiplayer and the storyline sounds crazy. It basically it looks like a crazy story like Bloodborne or Elden Ring or something
Yeah.
ridiculously insane. Like very gothic and mature. But yeah, exclusive to the Switch. Um, yeah, I knew this was a big deal because I'm not a really big fan of those games, but I know people love From Software, so people were going nuts for this one. A little bit surprised this is your number one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it just showed me right here, like this is a third party. This is not an in-house. Like they locked this up for their console, their brand new console that's coming out this year, and it's coming out next year, right? The game itself, but like they showed to me, like, yeah, we got some stuff that you can only play here.
is that where the Mario Kart money is going to pay these guys?
Yeah, definitely,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, they yeah, I was surprised. Definitely like an exclusive of this caliber, right? It wasn't some like,
Yeah,
rinky dink like little third party game from like, oh, it's a exclusive port or
yeah.
something. It's like
It
this
was
is
like
like a
four or 5 years ago.
yeah, it's like a brand new from a big developer that has like a huge following. Multiplayer focus too, which has never been um it seemed more online multiplayer. I don't know, right? More
Yeah,
online multiplayer focus, which is kind of been Nintendo's weak point and in some areas. From a third party perspective, I would say, right? Because like the first
yes.
party stuff,
So I do want to hook up the camera and see your reaction whenever we get killed after trying to defeat some boss, like for the 45th time in a row at like 2 a.m.
yeah, I'll probably just throw the camera out the window and be like, I can't do. That's
So
why
I,
I can't play those games.
so I can see your face just kind of smirk and say, "Nah, this ain't it."
Yeah, just like I'll just like sign off immediately. Like I'll just rage quit. You won't even know where I went. So yeah, that was a big game. Another game that I was kind of surprised about because I guess it's there was news about this for a while, but they mentioned that in the direct was a new James Bond game
Yes.
called Project 007, which just sounds like a working title. They literally showed no gameplay with just like the James Bond logo and the music
Yeah.
playing. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing.
I don't think this will
Um,
get made. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is just some guy's idea right now in his head, and he's like, yeah, just let's just make a James Bond game
Yeah.
because there was like literally nothing but a logo. Um, but this is being made and published by the Hitman developers, IO Interactive. It's supposed to feature an original story. Like when they first started playing the music, I was like, oh, they're bringing back like GoldenEye,
That's what I thought too.
right? All the Switch and GoldenEye. That would have been cool. Like this,
Yeah.
I mean, the James Bond games are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, I think the last one, well, they did the GoldenEye one, the remaster or whatever that was, but like the original game with Daniel Craig
Yeah.
was like on Xbox 360. I played those games were really good. Um,
Let's see if they
so
pull it off. I mean, I'm genuinely interested. I mean, kind of let down, no game footage, but um, I don't
no
know.
release date either.
Yeah,
Nothing. Just
nothing.
yeah,
Just the, yeah. Now, if I just let's say, for example, if I just click YouTube and accidentally hit the Game Direct like live, but I didn't know it was like video games, I would think like, they finally announced a new James Bond movie finally.
yeah, with starring Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he's gonna be the new James Bond guy because he has to ruin everything.
Bald Bond.
Yeah, with his like tight shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, nothing really about that game, but I just thought it was interesting because like they tease people with that music. I was like, oh
Well, I
man,
thought it was crazy
GoldenEye.
that they announced Hitman for the Switch too. I mean, that's a pretty violent game.
Yeah, so let's get into some of like they did so many
Kind of
third party
shocked.
games. So let's get into some of the games that are coming out. A lot of them this year, a lot of them announced, upcoming beyond that, releases and ports of stuff. So this is not an exhaustive list because there's so many. If you want to see the full list, you can probably go online and look up stuff because they announced like so many third party games. It was a really huge focus of the show. I think it took like I felt like half the show was like third party games, right?
So yeah,
So
the
what did
third party
you?
support to me, I have a lot of faith in Nintendo now. I mean, them locking up exclusives and getting all these studios on board. I'm genuinely happy. Like, if I do make it a priority console, let's just say, you know, because I mean, PlayStation doesn't really have nothing coming out. Freaking Switch 2 has some games coming out this year. Like, I'm good at actually like maybe purchasing a Capcom game. Like, let's say if they drop Resident Evil on here, I might get it on here first. Who knows? I don't know how you feel about that.
I would probably get it on like PC.
Really?
So yeah,
Tim says that, but he owns Silent Hill 2 on PS5.
yeah, because I wanted to play it on my bigger TV and the controller support and stuff. But whatever. But yeah, like it's a you could definitely see like a huge difference in like the third party support. Like everybody wants to release on Switch too.
Yeah,
So I'll go through the list of some of these kind of bigger games, and like I said, you want a full list, you can go online and see like a montage of all the games because there were just so many to name. But it was going to be Borderlands 4, Cyberpunk 2077, Daemon X Machina, Titanic Skyon, which looked pretty cool, Elden Ring, Hades 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Hollow Knight, Silksong, which is like finally coming out apparently this year. Madden, NBA 2K, Split Fiction, so it just came out um not too long ago, so that's going to be on the Switch too. Star Wars Outlaws, Street Fighter 6, which we mentioned, Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters 3 and 4, remasters or remakes of that. Wild Hearts S, WWE 2K, Yakuza 0, and just a bunch of other games that are coming to the Switch. And it's also getting a port of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade,
Integral. Mm-hmm.
which they didn't have that before. I don't think that game could be played on the Switch, the original Switch.
No. I just want to make note. The last time a Madden NFL game was released on a Nintendo console was Madden NFL 13 for the Wii U in 2012. So that's a long time.
That's crazy because like I felt like the Switch had football games. No, they don't have
No,
football.
I don't. It's crazy. And the Wii U, right?
Wow, yeah, I guess that's a pretty big deal. Yeah, I think they're also putting out like a soccer game
Yeah.
of some sort, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
Um, so those are like the third party stuff. Yeah, like we said, the show was like real heavy on third party stuff. It felt kind of light at times on first party.
Yeah, it
People were
did.
like,
Yeah. But I
people were
think
like,
they had to show that to us because like to me at least the Switch has been great with first party, and I mean great. So it's like they've already kind of earned our trust, and this is them like letting us know as the player, hey, we got some other stuff too, not just by us. And them locking down, uh, Dustblood. It's like that to me shows like, all right, we got our things and we got other stuff coming along that's not made in house as well. That's how it came across to me watching this whole direct today.
yeah, it's a lot more well rounded library, and I think a lot of these games for like that Switch audience, which is more general,
Hmm.
they probably haven't played Cyberpunk. They haven't played, um, Star Wars Outlaws, right? They haven't played games like
Yeah,
that. Um, so it's just like another audience that's going to be exposed to those games. So like, I
which
mean,
because I kind of feel like like we were saying, like right now on PlayStation side, the first party is kind of light right now, and they're kind of relying on third party studios to kind of carry them to that next big title. I mean, that's how I feel at least. But with Nintendo, you're already kind of like already secured on the first party front. Now they're showing, hey, we got third party stuff too, and that's the most important thing because if you have one more than the other, it's not a good pattern for a gamer. I think if you're well rounded on having everything, you're just gonna be broke, but you'll have fun at least.
yeah, I think it just makes it like a stronger, like, okay, I'll get the Switch too because I can play this other stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Plus playing these games like in a portable mode, it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. A lot of them, so definitely a great job on that end. We talked about this a little bit earlier that GameCube games will be appearing on exclusively on the Switch 2, and these are games that are going to be available through the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. Which, if you get both of those bundled together, so one's for the online multiplayer, and the other was the expansion pack for the retro games. It's $50 a year. So these games for these GameCube games are going to feature better visual quality and higher resolutions than over the original releases. So nothing really crazy. But the first three games that are going to be available at launch for the Switch 2, so day one, are The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, which has Link as a playable character. That was a big deal back in 2002 because
Yeah, big
each
deal.
each Soul Calibur 2 version had a special character. So Link was in the GameCube version. I think Spawn was in the Xbox version, and I have no idea who was in the PS2 version. I can't remember. Do you
Do you want me
remember?
to guess? Just guess, and then we'll look it up. I don't know why, but I feel like um, I don't know. I feel like it's like Hiachi. I don't know.
Some like Tekken guy. Yeah, it wasn't like Kratos because Kratos didn't exist yet. So I don't. You want to look that up?
Yeah,
Who
I'm gonna look
was?
it up right now. I'm gonna go with Hiachi from Tekken just because. Uh, yeah, Hiachi Mishima from Tekken. Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah,
guessed
that
right.
makes sense. Yeah, that because like Tekken was more associated with PlayStation back then.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. So, and then the third and final game is F-Zero GX
Hmm.
from 2003. So, I believe I saw online that now all the F-Zero games are playable
That's
on
crazy.
the Switch 2 through the expansion pack because there hasn't been a new F-Zero game in forever.
Forever.
So, but yeah, the GameCube first came out in 2001 and now is officially part of Nintendo Switch 2. And these games are not available for purchase, and they're digital downloads. And obviously your You can't put a GameCube game into the Nintendo Switch 2 and make it work, so you're out of luck there. But if you want to play these games a little bit easier, it sounds like a good thing. And they also tease like a little montage thing of other GameCube games that are going to be coming, just like
Yeah.
by the box art, which included Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, Super Mario Strikers, Luigi's Mansion, Chibi Robo Plug Into Adventure, and Pokemon Coliseum. So those are like the next games that are.
Super Mario Strikers as well.
Yeah, that was a great game. I played that a lot
Yeah.
on the
Now, all
GameCube.
right. Is this a selling point to you? This right here.
No, it's more of just a cool feature. I know a lot of people are excited about the Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny to me. Like I'm like waiting for them to just port the Wind Waker
HD.
uh HD version that was on Wii U.
Yeah.
Like just put that on Switch too. Like just do it.
Yeah. You know, I'm with you on that. This goes back to the whole the gaming preservation. Like, I hate the fact that Ocarina of Time remake is stuck on a 3DS, right? And the Majora's Mask as well. Kind of wish they would bring those to like for Nintendo Switch too, right? But we're gonna have to wait probably after this next console. After this cycle, we're gonna have to wait till like the next console, the way we're going.
Yeah, and I don't know what I mean. The Wind Waker HD version is like one of the few games that's stuck on the Wii U.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can play that version of the game. But I mean, now if you really want to play it, you can play it on the GameCube Classics version.
Wait, is Twilight Princess? I'm now. Let me see. Is Twilight Princess only stuck on Wii U as well?
No, I think that was didn't they do an HD remake of that or something? Or do
But yeah, but for the Wii U only.
you want to look that up, Twilight Princess?
Let's see. So Twilight Princess, um, HD remake only on Wii U. I'm guessing it's only on the Wii U currently. I don't think it ever came
I
to
feel like
the.
that was a
Yes.
game they
Yeah,
re-released on Switch.
yeah, it's The Legend of Zelda is HD. Twilight Princess was released in 2016. It's only on the Wii. So you have two Zelda games, HD remakes stuck on that console.
Yeah,
Wow.
I imagine they would bring those over at some point. Um,
I hope
just
so.
doesn't make sense to have those stuck on an old console that you can't do
It
anything
had
with.
like no support basically.
No, but I know a lot of people are excited for this GameCube stuff. Like this is like kind of like our generation, right? This is what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Um, when we were
Which
like
is
teenagers.
really sad considering they're like, yeah, this is the retro.
Yeah, we're like old, man. Like Luigi's Mansion, like 2001. Like I
Oh
remember
yeah, that
Super
game
Mario
looked
Sunshine.
incredible graphically to me at the time.
It still looks good, and like like I remember like we are just talking about Soul Calibur 2. Like I still remember like how big of a deal that was. Like oh my
Yeah,
god, like Link is in like a Soul Calibur game.
yeah.
Um, now Soul Calibur is like dead. Like there's no Soul
I
Calibur
don't even
games
know
at
when the
all.
last one was released, to be honest with you.
I think it was like an online free to play game that they
Oh
canceled.
wow.
So I think they were making a new one or something. But yeah, it's not like it used to be like that. Soul
Yeah,
Calibur used to be a pretty big deal.
it's one of those
Obviously, if
games.
they're putting Link
Yeah,
in it, it was a big deal.
but you consider it like King of Fighters style. Like you just only certain people know about it.
I think it's even worse. Well, I don't know. Because King of Fighters still makes new games. It's like I think that
Yeah,
Soul Calibur that was for that time period where it was like
yeah.
a really big deal. Like you had a multi-platform game and they each had their own character, and um, now it's like commonplace, right? But back then it wasn't. But yeah, the GameCube is going to be 24 years old, so it's really crazy. But
Insane.
yeah, most people probably have not that are getting a Switch 2 probably have never heard of these games or even
I was like,
played
who
them.
cares about this?
It's old crap. Like who
Yeah.
cares? Um, yeah, GameCube's pretty cool, but for me, it's not really a major selling point. It's like a cool thing that I'll check out. I feel like there's really no GameCube game that I would really want to go back to, except oddly, I really want to play Star Fox Adventures.
Okay, that game was fun. Yes.
I really want to play that game. I've been wanting to play the game for a long time, like actually buy a physical copy of it
Dang.
and play it. Trying to think what else. I mean, the Metroid Prime games they already remastered, so you got those already.
Come on, Timmy. You know what you want? Resident Evil 4 OG thrown up on there so you can play it again.
The original Resident Evil 4, yeah, I played the hell out of that too.
Yeah.
Um, played that a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, is there any GameCube stuff you would want to play like that would make you like sign up for this?
Nostalgia wise, I think Luigi's Mansion for me, because that was the first game I got with it when I got it for Christmas. And maybe
Did you ever play the 3DS version?
no, I
They
never did.
Yeah.
I only played the sequel, 2 on there. But the other game that I would play Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I mean, that was a game to have back then whenever you had a GameCube. Legendary cover as well, right? Um, and oddly enough, I kind of wish I don't know like who's in charge of like having this game like license, and all that. The Twin Snakes Metal Gear. I would want to
Oh
play that
yeah.
on. If they threw it up on there. I would play it.
Yeah, they never will though. I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, because Silicon Knights made it and they don't exist anymore, right? So I don't know how
No.
you would get around all that.
Yeah, I
It'd be
still
like
have a
another
copy of that.
GoldenEye Nintendo and Xbox thing, I think.
Right. Do you still have your copy?
Yes, I still have it.
Yeah, I think that game is worth like a couple $100.
Oh
I
my
feel
god.
like at this point.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, I still have it. Both discs on there. Two
Me
tiny
too.
discs.
Yeah, I don't think that's coming to the GameCube classics, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting thing. And like I said, you also have Super Nintendo and Game Boy games and Nintendo 64 stuff. So I mean, they're growing a library, so it's like whatever, but it's just a cool feature to have. But going off of the other games which we talked about earlier, another big aspect of the show was these Switch One upgrades. So essentially, for certain Switch games, original Switch games, they will be re-releasing on the Switch 2, and Nintendo is calling these versions of the game Nintendo Switch 2 editions as a standalone release, or upgrade packs. They're calling it for existing owners of the game. And these Switch 2 editions will also have new retail and digital releases. So it's like the game's coming out again. This is where it got a little bit confusing because I don't really know if they explained this well enough during the show. As far as like how you actually play these games, if you already own a copy. So essentially, Nintendo Switch 2 edition games will feature, quality updates, quality of life updates, like improved graphics, higher resolutions, faster load times, and improved frame rates. And then there might be, additional gameplay features and content depending on the game, varying from title to title. And these new features won't be free for existing owners of the game. So if you have the Switch version of the game already, you have to pay for these upgrades, and the pricing hasn't been revealed yet, so we don't know the cost of it. But you compare it to something that Sony does on the PlayStation. If you're upgrading from like PS4 to PS5 or PS5 base game to like a director's cut game, they usually charge like $10 to $20.
Mm.
So I'd imagine it'd be in that range.
So this is where it kind of came across as like pro, whenever Sony and Xbox had their pro bases like on the last gen. Well, technically we're going to be, in a different gen here, but whenever PS4 and Xbox One, they had what was the Xbox version for their pro? Is it S or something like that?
Yeah, it was like they had it during I know what you're talking about. It was like it wasn't the current one is Series X, but it was like a different Xbox name that
Yeah, so
supported 4K.
yeah, so this is where it kind of came across to me, like this portion of the direct where they were like, oh yeah, get the Switch 2 edition and all that. And it just came across like, okay, I don't feel like I'm getting something new. There's just kind of selling me like PS5 Pro style, like this is get the one that has the better graphics. That's how it came across to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, like when they talked about the idea of like Nintendo Switch games playing on Switch 2, I just assumed it was like a pop in the game and play it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, and like, oh well, maybe it'll run faster or look better because it's on new hardware.
Yeah.
But I just assumed it would be a simple thing. Like they went all out on this, and like they're designing new games based on it, like new
Mm-hmm.
releases. Um, so yeah, it's kind of like into that, like, well, you've already played these games and you're recharging people, and I don't know if like I'm assuming like the Switch audience has already played a lot of these games,
Multiple times over and
like The
over again.
Legend of
Yes.
Zelda. So two of the main games that are going to be doing this are The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which is makes it even more confusing as far as pricing because according to Nintendo, if you are a subscriber to Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, you get those upgrades for free for both games, but they don't mention anything else about the other games part of this Nintendo Switch edition.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's a little bit
confusing.
confusing.
Like even you making
So,
that statement right now, it just it sounds so confusing.
so is every game going to be part free because you have the expansion pack plus Switch Online, or do you have to pay for certain ones?
That's
Because
yeah.
they only singled out the two Zelda games that are free, not free because you're paying
I
for a
think they did that for
subscription.
you, so you can actually play these games too at
Just for
no
me,
extra
yeah.
charge.
Those guys over in Japan, they're like, this dumb American over there needs to beat the Zelda game
Yeah,
already.
we just won. We'll make them both free, but we'll let him choose which
Yeah.
one he wants.
Um, but yeah, so like in addition to like improved graphics and HDR support and higher frame rates at like 60 frames per second, both of the Zelda games will have a new feature called Zelda Notes, where essentially you're using the Nintendo Switch app on your Apple or Android device to have this built-in feature called Zelda Notes, which does a variety of stuff. One of the main things they highlighted was that the Zelda Notes has a feature that can help guide players to locations in the game, and
GPS navigation, basically. Yeah.
it was basically like, yeah, like, you know, Google Maps or something for Zelda. Um, it also has like this feature called Voice Memories, where certain parts of the game, if you come across certain sections, like it'll play like audio stories that are added to the game, but it seems like they play through the app.
Mm-hmm.
And Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2 will let players share their auto build creations using QR codes through the Zelda Notes. And in both games, you can share inventory items with other players with QR codes through the app too. And a kind of an interesting addition is that both games will have um, in-game achievements, and they're tracked. And you can also unlock separate medals for reaching certain milestones. And you can compare your gameplay statistics with other players. So that's like the Switch 2 edition upgrades. And they did show the gameplay. It does look really good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Like
Yeah.
you could tell the difference. Like it's not like some cheap upgrade. Like you can tell, like, okay, this looks like
Yeah, they put in work. Definitely
a
put in
big
work.
improvement. So you know, I don't know. I guess if you don't have Switch 2, or I'm sorry, if you don't have the expansion pack subscription, like how much will this cost you? If you already own a copy of Breath of the Wild, that's not very clear right now, which is confusing.
Yeah, it is very confusing.
And if you buy the game, is it going to be $60, $70, $80?
I think they'll charge 80 for those two games. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's precedent already, so we're getting into like pretty expensive territory with these re-releases, which is that's where I start getting kind of like annoyed with it. I'm
Which I
like,
agree.
this game's been out for
10
what,
years.
8 years already.
Yeah.
Like, the other big game they showed was Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is obviously coming to the Switch, as previously announced. No release date yet, but it's coming out this year. Now it's officially coming to the Switch 2 as well. And the Switch 2 version will have two different game mode options. It's very similar to what the games on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X do, where it's quality or performance mode. So you can choose kind of which one to do there. And it also allows for mouse support, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So those features are exclusive to the Switch 2, and they won't be in the Switch 1. So it's like, okay, well, how much is the upgrade for that? Right.
Yeah.
So, And then
Very
the other game
ambiguous, this whole thing, right?
what's up?
Very ambiguous, this whole thing when it comes to pricing.
Yeah, because I think when you first hear, oh, Nintendo Switch games work on Switch 2,
Yeah,
you're not really thinking of all this other stuff. Or you think, oh, Switch
yeah,
games will be updated on Switch 2.
yeah,
You're just thinking, okay, it's a simple patch and the graphics look better. You're not thinking of all this other stuff.
yeah.
Um,
That and
yeah,
once you find that Mario Kart World's $80, you're kind of like, wait a minute now.
yeah, like so the two Zelda games, Switch 2 editions, are going to be launch games at retail and digital. And the other game that they highlighted was Super Mario Party Jamboree, which really just came out for the Switch last October. So it's a
Yeah.
fairly new game, and that's getting an all new version exclusive to the Switch 2, using all those camera features we talked about and new mini games and things like that. But Super Mario Party Jamboree owners on the Switch can purchase an upgrade pack, but again, the pricing is not revealed yet.
Not real clear.
And other games on the Switch getting that Switch 2 edition treatment is Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, and I believe it's DLC pack or expansion pack, Star Cross World. So that's going to be a bundle package, and then Sid Meier's Civilization 7, which already came out. And then you got games like Pokemon Legends Z to A
Mm-hmm.
and Tamagotchi Plaza. Both are coming out later this year. They're going to have the Switch 2 upgrades as well. Again, no pricing, no further details on that. But then it gets even more confusing because Nintendo also announced that certain Switch games will get free updates to improve performance and potentially add new features when playing on the Switch 2. And this short list of games so far on Nintendo's website includes Super Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Clubhouse Games, 51 Worldwide Classics, and several other titles. So that just adds to the confusion. Why are those free and the other ones have Switch 2 editions?
It's so weird, right?
Because as I mentioned, like, I'm thinking all these Switch games are going to have those free updates, right?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of all this other crazy stuff they're doing, which is great for new players. Like, if you never played Zelda,
Tim, you're talking about yourself. You should be happy about this.
I'm talking about myself in the third person, right? No, I mean, I played Breath of the Wild, I would say close to 10 hours, which is nothing, right?
Yeah,
But
nothing, literally nothing.
I own the game. I'm not gonna pay another $80 for it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll pay $10 for this because the game does look really good.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wow, this looks
I might
great.
double dip and like get the pay the $10 or whatever. No, I should get it free, technically.
Well, yeah, if you sign up for the expansion pack program,
yeah. I think I'll play them again.
Yeah, I think they could be potentially worth playing through again because they do look significantly better.
Yeah.
Where I could actually say like, okay, yeah, this is like.
Do you have any amiibos or no?
I might have some sealed up somewhere. Like I was collecting them.
Oh damn, you don't open them?
I got so much stuff, dude. I think I bought some maybe like at some point.
You just forgot.
They're in like storage or something. Yeah, like I never.
Well, like I have some, right, and they have some cool items whenever you use them in the game, and I have the. I had to order this one from Japan. I sound like a mega geek now saying this, but like
Super
nerd
geek
or whatever. Like I ordered the Ocarina of Time Link as a he's playing the what's it called? Oh my god. He's using the harmonica thing that and he sings right. Well anyways, he has his he has his green tunic on, right? And it's like the same model from the 64 game as an adult. And if you use it a couple times, it'll give you the tunic, and it's better doing it that way than going to the dungeon and dying a million times. You just use the amiibo and you'll get it. So they have some Zelda amiibos that make it worth your while if you purchase them. They look cool too, by the way. So
yeah, the figures do look cool. And as we mentioned, they are releasing new figures for Tears of the Kingdom for the Switch 2. I do remember like looking up because I know there's figures for, like you mentioned, for Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously at this point you can't buy them new.
Yeah.
They don't sell them anywhere, so you have to get them used on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something. And they're just like super expensive.
How
Like
much
they're
are they?
collectibles. I don't remember. I looked into this like a long time ago, but they were like way more than I wanted. They were way above like retail
Like 50
price.
bucks? I can imagine so.
Yeah, they were pretty pricey, and that was just for like one figure.
Yeah.
So
I own
if
this
you,
I own these two Yoshi ones from the yarn game, right? And they're in that material, like in yarn. It's pretty cool.
yeah, I'm sure you can't find those anywhere.
Yeah. No, I think you
Um,
had to buy. Well, no, they sold them, but they're like very limited. And I think the only way you can get the green ones is if you bought the game. But that was sold out whenever I tried to get it.
that's why I think they introduced those amiibo cards to make it easier.
Yeah.
But even then, like you can't. I mean, you can't find those anywhere either.
Yeah.
So I know for like the Breath of the Wild, there was like a set where it's like, well, if I want to get all these items and stuff, it's going to cost me like $300. I'm not going
Yeah.
to do that.
That and then they
So
would like release a first set and then a second set, but I'd forget about it, right? And I've just I'm already moved on to the next game I'm into, you know?
yeah, so if they could figure out a way to get those re-released or whatever, but I think if you haven't played a lot of these Nintendo Switch original games, the Switch 2 editions are pretty cool, but I could see where Nintendo starts leaning into this and it's like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. Like you're charging all this money for essentially up like a port. It's an old game that you already,
Yeah, I
you know.
agree.
I think I was fine with it because like when they were porting all the Wii U games to the Switch, I was like, okay, this is great because like games are improved, they look better, you can actually play them on like hardware that's supported. You don't have to do that stupid tablet and like all that dumb stuff they did on the Wii U. But
Yeah.
now we don't need to do that anymore because these games have already been coming. Like you can still get these games. Like you can download them on the Nintendo Store
Yeah.
or buy them at Best Buy or something. So I could see this getting a little bit out of hand, but I think for now it's okay for new owners. But hopefully it doesn't get too crazy.
It will. I have a
Yeah, it
feeling.
will. Yeah, knowing these companies. But why don't we get into the launch games here, and I'll kind of read off the full list here, and then I'll read it first, and I'll get your thoughts, Lewis. Okay,
Yeah.
about what you think of the launch here. So, going through, these are the games we know so far that are launching on June 5th with the Switch 2. So, starting off with, I'm gonna go in an order of Nintendo first-party exclusives, and then it'll go in alphabetical order for third-party games.
Okay.
So, starting with Mario Kart World, which is the most important one, so it's a little bit out of order. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Switch 2 editions. Now we're getting to the third-party stuff. Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster. That is a long game.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. Deltarune Chapters 1 through 4. Fast Fusion, which is another racing game. It's like a futuristic sci-fi racing game, which actually looks pretty cool. Fortnite, Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, Hogwarts Legacy, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, Nubunga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Split Fiction, Street Fighter Standard, and Years 1 to 2 Fighters Edition, Survival Kids, Yakuza Director's Cut, and the 3 GameCube classics of The Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. So that rounds out the launch games for the Switch on June 5th.
So I think Mario Kart is the most important title, right? So if you're gonna get this, I think you should just get the bundle. If I'm just saying it would make the most sense, right?
Yeah, economically, it's just like, why would you
Yeah.
spend?
You're gonna play this game regardless. Um, and with that, as a expansion pack owner, I think I would immediately start playing the Zelda games to see, how beautiful the game is compared to when I first played it. I mean, the game looked gorgeous before. To see it more beautiful, yeah. I'd be down with that. I'd double dip on those two games. Bravely Default is a game I haven't played in years. I would probably get that as well. No, I would get that. I haven't played that in a long time, so I would for nostalgia purposes, I would play it. Um, and let's see, to me, the other game I would probably play, and I would take a dip in the Wind Waker, you know, just to see it again. I mean, yeah, it's not the HD version, but I do have a soft spot for that game. Well, how
So
about you? What do you
that's what
think,
you would
Tim?
go. Yeah, I would go definitely Mario Kart. I would just get the bundle. Probably get Breath of the Wild, the upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Interested in Fast Fusion because it looks really cool as a racing game.
Yeah,
I mean, it's different from Mario Kart, so it's not like the same.
it's not the same. Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Anything else really standing out for me? I mean, it's a pretty solid launch window.
Yeah, it is. And what's good is that Donkey Kong comes out the following month.
Yeah, and then they're rolling out stuff, from third party all throughout 2025.
Yeah.
Um, I
And
might
and I'm
maybe
pretty sure
play.
like I don't play sports games like that, but for sure the Madden game is a big deal, right? If I'm seeing like what I saw today, like Dusk Bloods and all that, what's coming in the future, and you see this DK game, and then you see this Mario Kart game, I would probably, if I was a casual gamer, yeah, I should just get it. I'll get me a Switch too. Madden's on it finally. It's been years, 13 years. Come on.
Yeah, or just trade your Switch in and you know put it towards the Switch 2, right? I think that's what
Yeah,
most people would do.
yeah,
Um,
which I'm planning to do.
yeah, I'm kind of with you. I potentially would check out Bravely Default, Flying Fairy HD remaster. I don't think I really played any of those games before.
Hmm.
Um, just looking over this list here. Hmm. Yeah, everything else I feel like I've checked out or not really interested in personally.
Hmm.
I think Hogwarts Legacy will probably do really good sales wise. I think that'll probably be
Yeah,
pretty good for
I guess since it's
Nintendo.
on the go, yeah, people like that game.
Um, yeah, and I would probably get the expansion pack at launch to sign up for that,
Yeah,
have that. So at least a couple games. I mean, like Mario Kart would keep me busy, and then a month later is Donkey Kong. So I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, I'd be set with that. I mean, for the year almost. I mean,
yeah. Like I'm
um,
genuinely excited for that game. That game looked amazing.
yeah. To me, I love
I
Donkey Kong, and
I
I
think I
think
think they
it's
really they made the right move because everybody was expecting like a Mario game, but you gave them something unexpected, and it looks cool.
yeah. I feel like historically, like those Donkey Kong quote unquote spin-off games. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
It's so um trying to think when the last one would be like Donkey Kong 64
yeah. That's the last time. Now I got a question for you.
because
Does the design bother you or no?
no, I mean at first I was like I like the classic like Super Nintendo Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
Like that's my
because
Donkey
that's who
Kong,
you grew
but
up with. Yeah,
I mean whatever. I mean as long as the game's good.
I agree.
Um it looks like it'll be fun. So yeah, a pretty solid launch game. I'm sure there'll be maybe some more stuff added between now and it's 2 months.
Hmm.
But
Gosh,
you have like
that's
about
right around the
over
corner, man.
it really is. You have like over 20 some games on this list. Um, I think the next big game that they need to announce is the Metroid Prime 4 release date.
Yes.
So we know it's coming this year, and they have like that Pokemon game coming out.
Hmm.
That's a big deal. People are into. So there's stuff, man. I mean, like it's
They're on fire.
yeah. I just think if you want to go into final thoughts here and final verdict overall, do you, what would you kind of give the rating here for the Nintendo Direct and what they announced so far?
I would probably give them a Okay, this is just based off the direct. Like I didn't know the price or anything like that. I was just kind of like seeing what I was being shown.
Well, you can
I
do like a before and after, right?
okay,
Like,
when I was watching the show, the direct, I'd say an A, right? I would give it an A. They showed me third party stuff. They showed off some cool things that they're gonna do with the game chat social. Um, some of the things that they wanna show off with their innovation, like the camera. Um, and I guess the future as well. I mean, yeah, say an A, but like after kind of B. I mean, $80 for Mario Kart, which is their most important title at launch. It is a hard sale for me, and like the price of the console, it's like if I don't get that bundle, I'm being ripped off. You get me? So,
yeah, it's such a huge. I don't know why they did it like that.
hmm
Maybe just to like land under the 500, $500.
yeah, yeah, it's so
Um,
strange. So that's where I'm like, they're at a B to me. They're really good. There's stuff coming along. They got third party support, the controller, the Joy-Cons, the console itself was presented pretty well to me. Like I know what I'm gonna get when I open this thing, right? So, but it's just that there's some confusing things when it comes to pricing that just kind of don't sit well with me. So it's kind of like, am I gonna buy this at launch? I do want to, um, but I do want to see how everything kind of pans out when it comes to pricing. Like, because I do have some, I don't have every exclusive, but I do have some to where, like, yeah, I know Zelda is free, but I don't know about, what about Mario RPG? Let's just say, right? Like, what's gonna happen there? So yeah, just whenever everything kind of rolls out, as time goes on, I might hold off on the launch. I'm not sure. But I do want it because, I do want to play Donkey Kong while I already have the console here with me after putting a couple hours in on Mario Kart World and having fun with it because it does look fun, So I'm right now I'm kind of like I'm out of it maybe.
maybe as far as like launch day.
Yeah, maybe as launch day, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get the console, like for sure. That's gonna like I'm more hyped about this console than the original Switch whenever it was first announced.
oh, you think so? You think you're
Yeah,
more? Yeah, I was trying to think. Like, I think, yeah, I don't know, because like the Switch was coming after like that
the Wii U, yeah.
abysmal Wii U, so I don't think people knew what to really expect. But then it
Mm-hmm.
like turned out pretty awesome. But um, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I would give it. I'm at like a B,
Mm-hmm.
pretty solid. Console itself, I like the updates. To me, like they didn't really need to do anything crazy and like super innovative. They just need to make it better.
Yeah.
Make it 4K, make the games run faster, make them look better. So on that end, they did pretty good. The social stuff is like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I think that'd be fine. Um, I do like Mario Kart World. I think it looks really great. I think I'll play that for years. Doesn't really mean I want to pay $80 for it.
Yeah, that's why we hope
Or
we all
like
get the bundle.
it's like people say, "Oh, well, you play the game for 5 years." It's like, yeah, but I don't want to pay $80 for
Yeah,
it, right? Like, especially like these days, it's like there's like no way, and I think it sets a bad precedent.
it does.
Um, but yeah, really solid third party support. Really pretty impressive. Probably the best Nintendo's ever had it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way the hardware looks. I like the way everything from that aspect. As I mentioned, didn't really care for the Nintendo Switch 2 edition and the confusion over that. But the Zelda games did look really great. So it's like, well, you can see the improvement, but I think it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it is.
Um, I want to get one at launch. I think I might try to. Um, Depends on how the pre-orders go. Pre-order is open.
The 9th, right?
Just double check this. Yeah, it's pre-orders will April 9th at various retailers like Best Buy and
Yeah.
GameStop and stuff like that. So
So I kind of hope you get an email because Sony did this whenever PS5 launched. Like they sent me an email because I had been, I guess, a PlayStation Network user for since 2006 when they launched PSN Network. And I think they're doing it kind of like this. They're doing that same approach to like, okay, let's see how many hours you put in your Switch, how many games you, all that stuff. Try to, stop scalpers from like ruining it for everybody.
yeah, the scalper. It's going to be really interesting because we kind of talked about it a little bit, but like the tariff situation,
Yeah.
like the Trump administration on April 2nd, like announced like sweeping global tariffs on like literally every country,
Mm-hmm.
which is like completely stupid. So like Taiwan, Japan, China.
Yeah.
Like, is that going to affect the price of the games and more specifically the console? Is this thing going to cost like $700 by June?
By the time, yeah, June. And that's the scary
So
part. That is the scary part. We don't know how much we're going to pay for these things when this
yeah,
rolls around.
like
And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's soon. Anything could happen at this point.
right, like
It's
the
ridiculous.
whole economy and stock market could like crash tomorrow
Yeah,
because of these
which
tariffs.
it's not looking pretty right
Um,
now.
so you really don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into that, like the pricing of the thing. Um, and is there a market? I don't feel the current climate. There's like a huge appetite for another console, but it'll do well, I believe. But I don't think there's this huge like buzz around. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like
I
there
don't know.
is, but it's not like a major.
I
Maybe
don't
because
know.
it's
We're
happening
old,
so
so it's kind of like,
fast.
well, okay, like all right, the measuring stick is gonna be tomorrow because I have a young kid. If he comes to me and talks about Switch 2, that's how I know it's like the buzz because everybody went to, everybody got off school today and saw this while me and you are watching this at home, right? Because we're adults. So I'll see that. I'll ask him questions and see if like, hey, my friends were talking about Switch 2. It's kind of like the Minecraft movie thing. I kind of want to like my perspective is like I didn't grow up with Minecraft, but my son did. So it's kind of like I'm eager to ask him questions, like the younger generation. Because to me, like I'm watching this, and there's a few things I like, but it's not like. Do you remember when PlayStation 2 was announced? Everything looked incredible while they were announcing it.
Yeah, like it really did. Yeah.
So
So
like that's what I'm saying. Like we were much younger at that time, so we're not looking at it from like financial situation. My son's like, oh, my dad can get me this because this looks so cool, right? And like when PlayStation 2 came out, oh my God, hopefully we can get this for Christmas at least,
yeah,
So
now we
I
got
have
to
to
pay
look at it in
for
a
it.
different perspective.
Yeah, I think there's like it just seems like a maybe because the timing of it, it's like a June console release feels kind of weird.
Yeah, it does
Um,
that to me too. But then again, like you were saying, like there's economic factors, and it's just, ugh.
yeah, but I think people are ready for the next Switch.
Yeah, I think so
Ready for
too.
something new. I think they showed the right games. I think Mario Kart, it's all you need. I
Yeah,
really just think you need Mario Kart. I don't think you need
yeah.
anything
And if you haven't
fancier
played
than
Zelda,
that.
like those, the game looks incredible. Literally, I think to me. Before Tears came out, I thought Breath of the Wild was like the Switch game, one of those games that defined that gen of, like it was that high caliber for me. And then Tears came out and just blew it out of the water.
Right. Well, so now you have both at launch. So I mean,
Yeah.
um, be curious to see how those do. But yeah, I think overall they tended did a really good job. I think they hit the right stuff with it. The only stumbling blocks is the pricing of things, the console itself,
Yeah,
and then the games.
everything, yeah. Which is, man, I don't blame them though. Like the economic climate right now. Yeah, so that's kind of hard to grade them on, I'd say.
Well, too, they also didn't need to price the game at $80. Like that was a choice that they made,
Yeah.
knowing everything going on, and then just the what the rest of the industry is charging for games and stuff. So like they chose to do that for like and make Mario Kart a premium title.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when Mario 64 came out, how much was it, Tim?
I mean, I don't know what that the transfer rate on that would be now, but it's like I know people always like say that. Well, like, oh, well, like this Super Nintendo game, if you played it now, it would cost you $200. It's like, yeah, well, dude, like, okay, well, I don't want to spend $200 on a video game, so
Yeah.
I don't care about like inflation and all that. Like, I
Unless
don't
it's
want to
like
spend.
retro, it's how you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I doesn't be like, well, yeah, back in the day we used to do. It's like, yeah, but we're not back in the day anymore. So, um, you're talking about $100 like close after tax with for one video game now.
Yeah.
It's just like
That you're
when there's one,
really gambling on. Like,
and there's
yeah.
also like so many more different options too. I feel like the amount of video games available is just astronomical. Like you don't even have to get like a brand new game. There's like so many games you can buy like cheap
Yeah.
digitally or wait a little bit or like
Yeah.
you can just play old Switch games if you miss something. There's like such a huge library of availability. Even like free to play games like Fortnite and other games like that. Like people are still playing Grand Theft Auto Online like 10 years later. You know what I mean? So
God.
I don't know if there's that urge like, okay, well, there's nothing else to play, so we have to buy this game. I think people are a lot more conservative now in a lot of ways. Like they think about that beforehand.
They are.
Um,
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
so it's a little bit different from like 1993 when there was like nothing else to play.
Yeah, and then, or 96, yeah.
So, but I think they're really testing the limits of like what people are. Because I think people are fed up with the pricing of stuff. I think it's just ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Um, like they're pricing people out of the hobby, and it's like, well, it's an expensive hobby. It's like, well, that doesn't excuse it. Because
Yeah, that doesn't
where's all this
excuse it.
money
You're just gonna
going?
run off people that way.
Because all these studios are like firing people and shutting down, and so where's all this money really going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
CEO bonus.
yeah, absolutely. So I think it'll be an interesting experiment. Um, but as far as the quality of the stuff, I think it looked really great.
Yeah.
It's just we're getting into like pricing stuff where you could tell a lot of people were turned off by it. Um, but I think overall it'll be I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. I think it'll be pretty successful. I don't think it'll be as successful as the Switch,
You don't think so? Why is
but
that?
the Switch was just so high. I mean, it's like what the top selling console of all time, or top three, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll reach those numbers. I think it'll kind of lower down. It's like to more not even, but it'll still do pretty well, but not like reach those like insane levels. I think. Well, I could be wrong about that too. I don't. You just don't know, right? Because it is more of the same, but it's more of the same that was extremely popular. So maybe it'll
But
continue to.
I think PlayStation 2 is still number one, right? 155 million.
I think the Switch passed it. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Might maybe. Yeah. I mean, this is a question I was going to ask you before we kind of wrap up the show and
Uh-huh.
give our final thoughts here. Do you think this is going to be like a maybe it's like that comparable, but to just I was going off of the success rate of this, like an NES to Super Nintendo situation, where it just becomes even more successful, or do you think it's kind of more evened out, where it's pretty successful but kind of more of the same? And
I I think it's kind of hard because again, we didn't see nothing groundbreaking here, right? And I'm kind of used to that already by now. Like whenever things get announced, like, oh man, this is groundbreaking here. Um, but I don't know. Nintendo's kind of always shown that they can make a video game very impactful. They don't really need to look the best when it comes to graphics. They make it really fun. And I think that's the most important thing that's everyone else, like Sony and Xbox, kind of lost sight on, making the game fun, right? And I think they will be very successful. I think they will be more successful than the Switch. I'm going to call it right now. I think they're going to surpass Switch numbers. They're going to increase their fan base when it comes to more Like more people are going to be into Zelda, more people are going to be into Mario and all that. Because they haven't slowed down, and this whole time with the Switch, I thought they were going to like never recover from the Wii U, like at all, to be honest. And seeing this, I I have that gut feeling that they're going to be successful just based on the third party support that was very heavy in the game in the direct, right? And we already know that when it comes to first party, they have the best first party across the board. So I think they will be successful. They're going to just show you within the games. Like, yeah, they couldn't show us everything, that's going to come in the future today. But once everything comes out, 2026, 27, 28, I think we're going to look back like, yeah, this is an amazing console.
Okay, so there it is, folks. That's the Switch 2 will be the greatest selling console of all time. Right.
100%. I'm going to
100%.
bank on it, I think.
You go. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to do really well. I don't know if it's going to reach the same heights. So I'm
Why is
not like
that?
I think it'll be I'm trying what I can compare this to.
Because this is not a PlayStation 3 mishap right here,
No, but
nor a Xbox. Like, it's either
I think
Xbox
the way
360, which according to you is one of the greatest consoles ever, even though I disagree on
well, I've
that.
never said that. I don't know where that's no, it's not one of the greatest ever. I mean, it did some cool stuff between '05 to '08, but
3 years and that
greatest
was it.
ever.
I liked how you're
Yeah.
admitting this right now.
Yeah, it's his official. Trying to think. Maybe like a PS4 and a PS5, but even that PS5 is selling
I don't think
a
PS5
better
is like has that.
at a better rate though. It's selling at a better rate than the
I mean, yeah,
PS4
but
is,
it
so
doesn't
it's
have
hard
like.
to tell.
Okay, yeah, well, okay, I don't think it's PS5. Well, I don't know.
I was saying more from like a financial sales point. I'm not saying for like success or popularity. Like I don't know if it's
I
gonna
think
top.
it'll make them a lot more money. I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, they introduced the whole docking, to your TV and carrying it on the go, and now this is better. So I think they'll
yeah,
be successful.
yeah. I'm personally excited for it. Like I said, I want to get one at launch,
Yeah.
and the two games for me are Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's all I need. I mean, I'm set.
There you go.
Um,
To me, yeah. I mean, all right. I'm gonna compare it now. I think like Switch is like PS1, and I think this is their PS2. And hey, and it's the first time they throw a number at it. I mean, Wii U was just like another gimmick that nobody really like. Even when they announced it, it wasn't very clear. You get me? Like everybody was confused. Like, what is this? Like a peripheral? Is this a console? What is this? Like the message was lost. Here, the message was definitely not lost. I mean, it's an improvement from their last console, and I think like I didn't feel like until the freaking what's it called them saying like the Switch One and all that stuff, like the games on there. That's where it kind of felt like pro to me, but everything else, like it showed me like they're kind of they're stepping into the right direction. I think they're like that momentum that the Switch had, the original one, got them to this point, and I think they're gonna go higher. That's what I think. Especially since
yeah,
you
I
can
mean
play
they
online with your friends now, where you can actually chat with them and sometimes see them and see their screen, even though it's choppy. But they're letting your friends come in with you this time.
yeah, and then we'll probably have like what's something else? We'll have like like real achievements by like 2035.
Yeah, that's too early for that. Yeah, we're not ready for that
Yeah,
for
I'm not
Nintendo
ready for
side.
that. Yeah. But yeah, it's I can see some of maybe potential issues with it. I think overall it looks I'm like I said, I'm personally excited for it.
Okay,
It
all right.
for me it did what it needed to do. Just
If
be a better Switch.
if you didn't have PC, would you get a Steam Deck or this?
Ooh, that's a good question. Steam Deck versus Switch 2.
Yeah, not even the
Um,
well. I don't know if they're gonna do a Steam Deck too, but right now as it is, Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch 2.
as a hardcore like gamer type, Like,
I don't even consider us hardcore gamers anymore.
well, if I'm like a hardcore game like me, like personally right now, like a casual person,
Yeah.
I that's a hard one. Probably Steam Deck, but I would still want the Switch. I would want both of them because of the Nintendo games. That's a Nintendo factor,
Yeah.
right? But I think they're opening up a lot more third-party ports and stuff, and also like that they're gonna bring that PC audience to the Switch. I think with that mouse support thing.
Yeah.
So I think they could
Is that a big
do
deal,
some good
really? Like, I
stuff.
had no idea because you keep
I think
bringing
it's a
it up.
cool thing. I know that genre of games is like you got to play it on PC.
But
I
just
mean,
the
they've been
mouse
ported
thing
to
and that's it?
console.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool thing to do. And like a lot of people do like playing first person shooters with a mouse
Damn.
over a
So some
controller.
some guy
So
that plays Doom with all that hardcore music ready to transition over to the Switch to play like Mario Party.
right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call for me. I don't know. So yeah, when it comes down to the Switch 2, I think they're gonna have a pretty strong launch in June, and I guess it'll come down to which one of us actually gets a system. Me or Lewis, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you'll get the pre-order over me, and I'll be out of luck.
Oh,
Like,
that'd be the most hilarious thing ever.
because I remember when I had a really hard time getting the Switch when it first came out. Like it took me a long time,
Really?
but yeah, I just couldn't get one from the retailers, man. It was like just constantly selling out. Um, so hopefully I'm able to get one at launch because I do want to play one. Definitely by the time Donkey Kong comes out, like that's when I want to have it for sure and get to experience that. But that's going to do it for this episode of the show and our Nintendo Switch 2 reactions to today's Nintendo Direct event. Before we let you all go, just want to remind everyone how they can listen and support the show. The show is available on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We have a YouTube channel for the show. And if you go to quarterdisorderpodcast.com, you will find show notes to each and every episode, including this one, where you can leave comments and check out links to topics that we talked about. If you want to send us a comment or leave us feedback, we have an email for that. You can email us at the following address, which is feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast.com. And leave a review. It really helps us out on whatever platform you're on. And give us some feedback. Tell us what you think. Check out the show notes, leave a comment, and give us your thoughts on the Switch 2 and Nintendo's future for the rest of the year. But having said that, that's going to wrap up the show, and we will see you again next time.